A few weeks ago, the owner of an expensive SUV, a Bentley, was attacked by three young men, teenagers, in a parking lot at his father's grocery store in New Jersey. So what lessons can we learn from this crime? Hey guys, retired Lieutenant Todd Heaton here with Humilitas First.
Thankfully, the son was not injured, and he immediately called the cops.
I can't tell you how many times breaking these videos down I've thought it would be awesome to have like NFL type coverage with multiple cameras, multiple angles. When we talk about situational awareness, at the root of situational awareness, it comes down to people. People are the problem, particularly men, we'll say 15 to 50 years of age. Then you might consider where you are. Are you in a higher crime, dangerous area? If the answer is yes, then the first thing I'm going to be concerned with is proximity. I'm definitely not going to ignore attempts to conceal one's identity. These three young men, they have their hoods up and they have COVID masks on. Who here thinks that teenagers, young people, are afraid of COVID when they're outside in March of 2024? I'm not buying that for even 1 second. This is simply an attempt to conceal their identities. A big part of proximity is going to be their orientation. As it relates to the execution of a crime or violence of action, bad guys aren't stupid. If you don't believe that, then that's going to be to your own peril. Initially, as they seem to be just passing by, they might have their hips and shoulders oriented in another direction to let you believe that they're not going to be a problem for you. But the moment they get in your blind spot, then guess what? Their hips and shoulders are going to pivot, and now they're going to be in direct alignment with you from a rear ambush position. Why? Well, because it's effective. Because it works. This is the second time that this victim has been targeted by carjackers. The first time they got away with his Mercedes G-Class SUV. This time they failed because he had the key fob in his pocket and was able to break free and run into his father's store. Okay, let me show you how one of the principles Humilitas First teaches, tactical staging, how that can help you not be in this situation in the first place. So first I'm looking at the periphery, the sidewalks of these two intersecting streets, and I'm looking beyond. Remember, we're looking for people. People that are moving near or onto this particular parking lot where I'm about to park. The man-made obstacles or limitations here are the building itself and this tall fence that runs along the east side of the property. It doesn't matter which entrance I pull onto. If I don't see any potential threats out here on the sidewalks or approaching the business, then I'm just looking onto the lot itself. And I'm looking for the same thing, potential threats. These three young men were somewhere over in this location. Our victim parks here, facing this direction, giving them his back. So first and foremost, don't give potential threats your back. Secondly, don't give them your back when they're relatively close in proximity. They're going to tell you a little story oftentimes with their alignment. Oh, I'm not even interested in you. I'm just going down this sidewalk until they have that blind spot. How many young men wearing COVID masks with their hoods up do you think are just roaming around these sidewalks out here at this exact time? The probability is these three guys, they're it. There is nobody else. So this should be easy. All you have to do is avoid these three guys for a relatively safe arrival at this store. Thirdly, when you're going to a store that's in a higher crime dangerous area, don't waste time sitting in your car. In law enforcement, we called that passenger compartment a tomb, particularly as it related to people approaching that vehicle on foot. We were taught, get out of the car, meet them face to face. Now that's for law enforcement. So the only way I'm doing that as a civilian is if I can't drive away for some reason. As a retired civilian, I'm just going to drive away. I'm going to take a little cruise. These carjackers, they're going to be somebody else's problem. Parking and getting out of your car, it's a transition. Transitions need to be efficient. So if you're going to sit in your car and not pay attention with the door open, well, that's going to make you very vulnerable. It creates an opportunity which the bad guys can fully exploit. Look, if you're unwilling to learn from errors, then you're never going to get better. Doesn't matter who you are. The lessons will just be lost in vain. This is one of the first ways we studied videos in my law enforcement career, was the instructor broke them down so that those lessons would not be lost in vain. Humility is simply the acknowledgement of the truth. Every one of us has to go through the exercise of that virtue, which looks like humiliations or failures, in order to get better. Okay, tactical staging. This is going to have a lot to do with where, when, for how long, and how I'm going to position myself as I see potential threats moving through an area or approaching me and mine, especially high crime dangerous areas. Time is a precious commodity in avoiding violent confrontations. If you have to go to a high crime dangerous area, then I'll give you two ways you can stack time back in your favor. First one is distance. Distance buys you time to react. The second one is to build time in by leaving early. For instance, imagine I pull in and seeing these three men either loitering or maybe they're just passing by, but they're concealing their identities. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to give the situation a little time to develop. How do I do that? I'm going to take a little cruise through the parking lot. If they're passing by, then they're going to be beyond the point, a greater distance, that they're going to be able to easily, steal my car, rob me, hit me on top of the head with the baseball bat, whatever. As I'm slow rolling through the parking lot, well, it's harder to hit a moving target, a vehicle in motion. So you can build in time by leaving early when you're planning your day out, when you're planning out your tasks or your responsibilities. Say that, I'm going to work here and I waited until the last possible moment with only seconds to spare, risking actually being late for work. Then this isn't going to be an option. So you have to leave early. You have to plan in, hey, I'm going to need some time that I can expend to simply avoid bad guys in high crime dangerous areas. It's really that simple. Lastly, if I decide to park using distance, then I'm going to orient or align my car in such a way that I can immediately see any change in the bad guy's orientation. In other words, I'm looking to see if he immediately pivots his hips and shoulders to align with me. Maybe I back in over here. Or if I know that the angle is going to easily allow me to use my mirrors as I park and get out of my car, then maybe I do that. I'm going to be very efficient at getting out of the car and moving towards my destination. I'm not going to sit in the car and waste time, because time is a precious commodity in both avoiding and dealing with unjust threats.